So who says the dog days of summer there is nothing to bet on, nothing going on? We say, ha! We got soccer, we've got WNBA, and we've got plenty of Major League Baseball but before the All-Star break hits, which means we've got tickets to cash, and we got three of the best here today. We're going to roll out in front of you. Carmine Bianco's in the house, Mr. Ronald Cabang, as well as the one and only. I believe he just got back from Korea. As he was a spot reliever on a KBO team, Adam Trigger. He'll be here as well with all sorts of great insight for you. MLB, WNBA, and a ton of soccer to go over, guys, as if you did not know, a lot of stuff happening over the next couple of months, and I can't imagine a better person to break it down and point us in the right direction in the world of soccer than the guy who does nothing but cash damn tickets in soccer, and that would be Mr. Carmine Bianco. Carmine, a very happy Saturday to you. You know, you almost forget, like, there's a lot going on in the world of soccer here, man.
There is. It seems like every summer we have tournaments, and it's nothing different this year around. We just finished, obviously, in November, December, which wasn't summer, but it was the Men's World Cup with Lionel Messi and Argentina winning that one. Now we've got this summer about to start in less than 2 weeks' time. Two competitions. One is the Women's World Cup, which is held this year in New Zealand and Australia. So there's some early or morning action for you guys if you want to get involved. And then at the same time here in North America, it's the Leagues Cup, and that'll be on a lot of the networks in the U.S. and here north of the border as well too. The Leagues Cup, it's an inaugural tournament. This is one that involves every single MLS team and all the teams from Mexico as well too, the club teams from Liga MX. So it's a World Cup format over 30 days. So from basically July the 19th to August the 20th, we've got a lot of daily action in soccer. Everything is pretty much at a standstill other than that, and there's money to be made. Women's World Cup was really good for myself and my clients, Joe, the last time around, and this past Men's World Cup as well too. Tournaments is one thing I enjoy. It's just because it is a different aspect. It's different than your regular day-to-day league soccer where you can incorporate a lot of analytics like XG. Teams that overperform, underperform. You can't do that with a World Cup competition because these teams only play a few friendlies in the lead up to these tournaments. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I think it's if you're going to get involved in it, you've got to study. You've got to do your homework. And I've been doing it for the last a month to 6 weeks while everything pretty much died down in Europe.
I love it, Carl. I mean, you have been absolutely one of the most profitable guys when the World Cup comes around. These tournaments have been right up your alley. We'll get to how folks can hop on board and partner up with you, and a little added bonus because might have an opportunity to throw a little NHL situation in it as well. But let's start here today with the MLS here. I know you got a 5% play tomorrow, but talk to us about the game here today you're looking at.
Yeah, so obviously being just north of Toronto, I am a Toronto season ticket holder for their football club, Toronto FC. It hasn't been a good season. It hasn't been even a mediocre season. It's been an absolutely terrible season for Toronto. They sit second last in the Eastern Conference, only Inter Miami, who will get an injection of Lionel Messi soon to their lineup. He'll play his first game on July the 21st against one of the Cruz Azul, one of the Mexican sides in this League's Cup. But this Toronto team is just an absolute shambles. They finally fired their manager, Bob Bradley. He had won, I think, 3 games in over the last year and a half. I think in about 30 games, 3 wins. They only have 3 wins this season in 21 or 22 games. I'm not going to the game tonight. I found someone dumber than me to buy my tickets on Ticketmaster. I took the money from those tickets. And I'm going to go to a pub where I can actually enjoy myself and have a few drinks. But this is actually a client play that we're discussing. Toronto, right now, the line on this one has St. Louis favored at plus 141. This line opened at St. Louis plus 200 earlier in the week, and I released it to my clients right away and explained to them why they should take that line at plus 200. Now, as opposed to waiting till game day because I knew the line would drop. And as bad as this team has been, here's a couple of things to know about today's game. St. Louis sits top of the West, and they're an expansion team. They're having a very good year. I think regression for that team kicks in the second half of the season. I'll talk about that shortly. But you look at this Toronto team, and as good or as bad as they are when they have a full lineup, they'll be missing likely both Italian DPs tonight. Bernardeschi is suspended. He picked up 2 yellow cards in his last game. Lorenzo Insigne, who did not play in that last game, they lost 4-0. He has a lower body injury. He's also looking to move to one of these Saudi teams. It seems everyone is going to Saudi to play. So it's very unlikely he sees the field tonight. And if he does, it'll be minimal at best. And then Toronto's also missing 3 other starters who are at the Gold Cup. For Team Canada, they're missing Jonathan Osorio and Richie Larea, 2 very big pieces of that team's offensive lineup, and they are both away. And then their starting goalie, Sean Johnson, who is with the U.S. men's national team, and Canada does play the U.S. tomorrow. So you got 5 guys who are starters out of the lineup. It's like trying to drive a 6-cylinder car with only 3 of the cylinders working. It's not going to go very far. This is a game in which Toronto, I think they'll be lucky to get anything out of this game. I think St. Louis is the right play. Clients who jumped on board, and I released this as a free play up on the website as well too, are going to get the closing line value, Joe. But we know unless you get the result, the closing line value means nothing. But I'd rather be in on a plus 200 ticket than at a plus 130 or plus 140 ticket. Get the value, but I still think there's value in betting St. Louis City today against Toronto FC.
Yeah, well, listen, Carm, we can collect those CLV trophies all we like. I think we all have a nice little mantle in the house with them on it. And, unfortunately, I tried trading those in. Can't get anything for them there, Carm, unfortunately. So you're absolutely correct here. Talk to me a little bit about what you've got here at WagerTalk.com, that double package. We talked about it earlier in the week. You were on Wager Talk today, just about a week ago. But boy, oh boy, a little added wrinkle you got rolling on right now, along with the rest of the soccer plays.
Yeah, listen, I'll say it all the time. The money one betting. Not everyone loves soccer or even likes soccer, but you don't have to love it or like it to make money. You just have to win, and it spends the same way. If a restaurant refuses your money because you want it betting on St. Louis City, then you're at the wrong restaurant. But both tournaments together, all in one package. You get every single play, prop, and futures bet, and there's a lot of them loaded already for these tournaments. You can get those up at WagerTalk for $199. And I put together a deal. I finished number 1 in NHL at WagerTalk last season. So with that purchase of this package, you'll actually get a credit for the upcoming NHL season of $199 off the full season package. So you get a head start on saving some money for the upcoming NHL season. And I'm looking to go back to back this year. I want to have that belt 2 years in a row for number 1 capper at WagerTalk.
All right, Carm, I'm so glad you brought up the NHL because I believe the crazies in the chat room have come up with a great question for you, in fact. And listen, Mel wants to know, Carm, it's never too early to talk a little NHL here. And what are your thoughts on the Avs to win the Cup at plus 850? Are you buying a bounce back big opportunity with the Cavs at not double digits, but plus 850 here, Carm?
Well, the plus 850 is a good price. They've done a couple of moves during the offseason. We're seeing it's still too early with a lot of free agents still out there. But they did pick up a much-needed centerman. We know what happened to them last year. Obviously, they get bounced by the Seattle Kraken. But listen, they played the whole season without Gabriel Landeskog. They're hopeful that he'll be back for this upcoming season, of course, recovering and getting back in there. And they're formidable. Anytime you have Nathan McKinnon, Akale McCarr, Gabriel Landeskog, they'll find the right pieces. This is a team that you can draw a line through last season and just say it was a season in which they didn't have their best team on the ice. And so they're going to be there. You start with, they're going to make the playoffs. They're likely going to win their division and have either the number 1 or number 2 seed. And it's going to be awfully tough to go into Colorado and win a series. The Kraken were able to do it last year, but again, against a team that was a little watered down. So yeah, I think at plus 850, there's a bunch of value in that.
Yep, love it there. Carmine Bianco, never too late to talk a little NHL. Plenty of soccer coming up. Carm, you're not taking any days off here. You got a lot of stuff to handicap here, my man, coming up. And again, that package is available up at his page at WagerTalk.com. It includes that coupon to the NHL. Get ready for it, guys. It'll be here before we know it. Carm, always a pleasure, man. Appreciate the time. Best of luck with these plays. Don't forget that 5% best bet tomorrow going, available right now at Carmine's page. Carm, good luck, my man. We'll talk to you again soon this week.
Yep, thanks. Thanks for having me on, guys, and best of luck this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Carm. All right, guys, still plenty going on in the world of sports. Plenty going on over at WagerTalk.com. And also plenty going on with our friends over at thegoldsheet.com as, the football guides are rolling out over at goldsheet.com. Make sure you head over there if you haven't done so. We all need great resources and knowledge, guys, to figure out exactly how we're breaking down, what we're looking at, making smart, educated decisions. And we do that by having a number of different resources, and thegoldsheet.com is certainly that. So make sure you guys head over to thegoldsheet.com and check out that football guide. It is out and it is ready to go. And also ready to go is Mr. Ronald Cabang, ready to hop on here because you too, no days off for you, Mr. Cabang. I don't know what the hell you think. It's summer, No. We got money and tickets to cash here, my man. WNBA rolling right now here. I know a lot of midseason grades just came out. We saw some new updated win totals across the league as well. Is anybody going to beat the Aces? Probably not. But we do have obviously a game here today that you're going to break down. What do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com for us as well?
Yeah, I mean, over at Wager Talk right now, I do have a couple plays on this one game here in the WNBA, the Liberty and the Storm, and I actually have 4 plays in the MLB. So a little bit of a high volume day here on Saturday, but I really like the way the plays that I have in the MLB, running a model, something new for me this season, and it's been doing pretty well right now. So on a good run, and hopefully that continues there. WNBA, a little bit of up and down, but hopefully we continue to go on the right trajectory towards the end of the season here. With now that we got more data, it's a little bit easier to do. But as far as today, there obviously one game here. I'm going to give out one of my premium plays. This is the third matchup so far this season between these two teams, the Storm and the Liberty. First one here in Brooklyn, though. Liberty won both matches early on in the season, split on the spread and on the total. Storm, I mean, I'm in Seattle, so it's tough to see them without Stewie and Sue and all those ladies there, and they're struggling right now. 4-13 on the season. They've lost 4 in a row now, failed to cover the spread in all of them. 0-6 straight up, and just 2-4 against the spread as double-digit dogs. So they've been double-digit dogs many times so far this season, going under their team total in 5 of those games as well. They're also 0-2 straight up and against the spread as double-digit dogs on the road. They lost to the Aces by 33. They lost to the Sun by 20. Today we're seeing that the line, well, I got the line at 15.5. I'm not sure if it moved this morning or not, but I'm thinking it's still the same. Liberty, they're 12-4 on the season, 8-8 on the spread so far this season. But when they're the more rested team and they have home court advantage, you got to look towards their way here, regardless of the number. The Storm playing their second straight road game on the East, and this is their first road trip on the East as well. And in the WNBA, travel is really tough, especially when you're going long distance like that. And so that's a huge disadvantage here for the Storm. Liberty, they're 3-0 straight up against the spread. More rested when they're more rested than their opponent. They won by 16, 18, and 30, respectively, in those spots there. They've also kept their opponents under their team total by a good margin in all three of those games. From an injury perspective, I think, and nothing too significant. You got Gabby Williams, who just signed with the Storm, but she's not going to be playing today. But she should be joining the team really soon. Liberty, they're going to be without Hanshu, but she's not really in that rotation. Stephanie Dawson normally is. She's a huge, loss as far as someone coming off of the bench with size there. From a trends perspective, the Liberty, like I said earlier, they're more rested, but they also have more rest coming after this game. And that's been a profitable situation to take on in the WNBA. Historically, since 2017, when a team has more rest before and after the game, those teams have been hitting at the spread at a 63% rate, 158-4 on the spread there since 2017. So that's a really nice sample size as well. When the team is a double-digit favorite, if you add that to that trend, there's a significant advantage to the under as well. With the team on the road being the one going under their team total in nearly like 90% of those games there. So that's the way that I'm going here. Team total Storm under is the way to go for that game.
Yeah, I it was funny. I had a conversation the other night, Ron, on is anybody beating the Aces? I mean, their win total's 35.5. They've only lost one game. I think they can't lose, 3 more in the rest of the way. They do have a couple of games against the Liberty, actually 3 games, I think, against the Liberty still. But you mentioned travel as being a factor when you handicap the WNBA. But the other factor is everyone else seems to be hovering around 500 except the Aces. So is this a foregone conclusion? They're the team that's just going to roll right through?
I mean, it seems like it, right? They have the chemistry there. I mean, they already won the championship last season, so they have a lot going on their side. One thing that, to me, it seems like it would be Liberty or nothing as far as being the competition to beat them for the championship this season. The big thing about what I've seen with the Liberty, though, is, they struggled offensively to start the season. And one thing that I talked about in some other shows with the Liberty here is, for some reason, they really wanted to push Jonquel Jones in that offense. And by doing that, they slowed down their offense. They played like a half-court offense. And once they started to figure out, all right, well, she's just going to need to adjust herself, adjust her style of play herself to the style of Breanna Stewart and Ionescu. And some of these role players are stepping up as well as of late. And their offense has been rolling. And with that, their confidence has been growing, and their defense is coming up as well. So I think right now, when you think about it, and this goes along with the NBA too, right? You want to peak at the right time, especially going into the playoffs, right? Look at what Miami did, right? Nobody expected them to do what they did, but they peaked at the right time, right? So that's one thing that is pretty worrisome here as far as, the Aces versus the Liberty. The Aces versus the Liberty. Did the Aces peak too early, right? Do they gain too much confidence going into the playoffs thinking they could just steamroll over everybody? And then the Liberty will be like, all right, well, we'll be the underdog in this situation and take over. So that's going to be a matchup to watch going into the playoffs and to the championship. I feel like that would be the way to go. I know Connecticut have surprised a lot of WNBA fans here this season, especially losing their top player from the previous season, and then now losing Breanna Jones for the season as well. So, I don't think they're going to be the team to take on the Aces in the finals. I think it's going to be the Liberty there, and depending on the psychology of it, the situation, peaking at the right time, there's a chance Liberty could take over.
Well, I mean, they certainly showed they were human last night, right? So the Dallas Wings handle business. But again, I don't see the Aces sweating. But we do have, it's a good point, with, I believe, Ghosted came in here. He's got a question about what are we doing here when it comes to betting? I mean, these lines are ridiculous. 13, 14, 15. They're so chalky. I don't know. Now maybe they've lost another game. Is this a situation where do they get pissed off and maybe we're looking for a 20-point or more blowout win coming up? How do you approach it?
I think one thing is, just motivation, right? Like, yeah, they only lost a couple times, but I think one thing is to look at their opponents and the motivation they're coming into the game as well. Because you're not only betting the aces. If you're trying to bet the aces, you're betting against the team that they're facing, right? So there's two ways to look at it. You don't want to just look at one side of it. Like, yeah, aces can win any specific game by 20 plus points, and you see a line that's 15 and a half. Normally you get scared, but in this situation here, aces are just so dominant that you can't look away from them just because of a large number that you don't typically see in NBA or the WNBA. But there's just a huge a significant difference between even 1 and 2 in the Western Conference, right?
Yep.
So I think with the aces, don't be scared with large numbers. One way to pivot would be to do something like today, where you kind of fade the opposite team, right? As far as the team total, seeing how aces do at home versus on the road, you can tell. Like I said, travel is really, really huge in the
Yep.
WNBA because they don't travel like the NBA do, right? They're not as comfortable when they travel. You see a whole bunch of times since even last year there was a bunch of times in the news where WNBA teams had to stay overnight, in their previous location because of travel situations. They're traveling with, the normal public. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
and they have all the same issues that we do as far as going from one side of the country to the other. So travel is huge motivation in the WNBA as well. Seeing how teams do in that spot. There's a whole bunch of ways to back the aces. But one thing I will say is don't be scared of large numbers with the aces. It's all situational and motivation there.
It's a great point there. That's what you call edges, Mr. Cabang. That's why we love it, man. Crushing the WNBA as usual. And one of the I heard something the other day, Cabang, that absolutely blew me away. Apparently, Adam Trigger is watching Summer League NBA basketball, and I almost fell over when he told me about it. He's coming up. We're going to talk some MLB with him and some Summer League because he has a few thoughts on it. But I got to you're the NBA guy, man. Wembayama. I was talking to people last night, $800 a ticket to get into the building to see him for the very first time. Yeah. I can think of a lot of things I'd spend $800 on. A ticket into the building to see that big. No, not especially. What do you have? 9 points, something like that. It wasn't a great night. A lot of nerves. But what were your initial thoughts on Wembayama last night?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, I think certain players, some of these young players, they can handle pressure. I think there's so much hype on Wemby that I mean, I don't know. Like some of the interviews that I've seen throughout the summer, it seemed like he would be really composed, but he didn't seem that way yesterday in that game. A couple things to think about is just I feel like Scoot was the more NBA ready guy to begin with. I think what the Spurs are doing is someone that they could build on in the future, and he has all the tools to be that guy, right? To be that generational player, but. Uh, he has to live up to the hype, and that's a psychological thing, right? And that could be affecting him here. Once he has one good game, maybe that's a big a push for him to get over that hump. But until that happens, he's going to continue to struggle. I mean, he has height, right? But the physicality is a little bit different here. The style of play is different than Europe as well. In Europe they play more team ball than they do here. It's a lot of one-on-one situations. And that's something that he has to as well. College basketball or even the G League and things like that, they play the U.S. style of basketball. So Scoot is used to it. I think it's too early to tell that what people are calling him as far as being a bust. I don't think that's the situation. I think we give him time. And he's going to be successful. Maybe towards the end of the season, but I think he's going to continue to struggle towards the beginning part of this season.
Listen, not for nothing. All right. But if Britney Spears laid that kind of crazy on me before I played a game, I'd went over as well. Like, you don't want that kind of crazy anywhere around you there, Webayama. Maybe for a couple of minutes, but that's a different story. All right, Ronald Cabang, remind the folks again what you got up over at WagerTalk.com here and what they can look forward to coming up this week.
Yeah, I got a couple plays in the WNBA here, and I have 4 in the MLB. So, like I said, high volume today on a Saturday, which is okay for me because I see, I got to take the edges when I can, right? So that's what I have here in the MLB, and hopefully you guys tag along.
All right, Mr. Cabang, always a pleasure, my man. Best of luck with those WNBA plays, crushing the season, as well as the MLB. We'll talk to you again during the week. All right, guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button if you get a chance there. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you come back all week long, hang out with us. Great content, by the way, on the UFC. If you guys missed any of the shows, our guys crushed it all week long, breaking down what's happening tonight in the UFC. Make sure you check out the videos here on our page. Check out Wager Talk today from Thursday. You'll see the clips, guys. They're in the playlist. Check it out because Kyle Anthony broke down the Volkanovski fight along with a couple of other best bets he's got. So it's all here for you. There's plenty of ways to cash some tickets tonight in the UFC. Our guys did a great job all week breaking it down for you. Those videos are available, and they are up on our YouTube channel, so make sure you check them out. All right. There are some crazy things like Britney Spears I heard all week, Trig, but my God, dude, you talking NBA, you in this NBA Summer League might by far be one of the craziest things I've heard in a very, very long time, my man. Happy Saturday, brother. What's going on?
Not much. As you can see here, Joe, I've got my Worcester Woo Sox hat from the game last night. Woo! I got home kind of late, so just the caffeine's starting to kick in now. And just as far as the NBA Summer League is concerned, so if you watch Hustle, our show Hustle on Wednesday, I threw a play out at 1, and I said, well, I've just been kind of, there's some accounts that will bet it, like, the sharper, there's a market for it, right? And they'll bet Summer League, and they've done pretty well. I personally, Joe, know absolutely nothing about it. I'm not handicapping this. I wouldn't even know where to start, to be honest with you. But that being said, I found that I enjoy watching it more than the NBA because, like, as you know, I go all in college ball. I don't handicap the NBA. To be honest, I don't watch much NBA. But summer leagues, like, it's all these rookies and a lot of the guys I just watched for multiple years and, play in college. So I've actually I've enjoyed watching it where there's just not as much going on. And they played 9 plays today. So I'll rattle them off if the people want them. A lot of them have probably moved. But, see, you might be able to find a rogue line here or there. So do you want to do that at the end, or should we just knock them off right now?
No, we'll do it at the end. Stand by, guys. Well, he's going to rattle off all of these summer league plays. I cannot wait for it here, but I think you're absolutely correct because the numbers have been horrific by some of these books carrying them. Not even close. So, yes, hold on to that. But let's dive in to some MLB as well because loaded card here, the final push before the All-Star break here. And you honed in on an interesting one today with the Orioles and the Twins. Wells versus Gray here. This is going to be coming up just after 2 o'clock Eastern time. Talk to me about the Twins and Orioles. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, Joe, I picked this game for a couple reasons. One, I haven't made a bet in Major League Baseball yet today, and that's not uncommon. This final weekend, it really tends to be a crapshoot. You've got guys that are either A, going to the All-Star game and scrambling to get that, situated. Guys that have played, remember, this is a World Baseball Classic year, so some of these guys have been playing playing competitive games since early March. I feel like teams, it's harder this week. I've been very sort of selected the past couple of days, so I haven't made a bet yet, but this was a game that interests me, and I think there's a couple of different ways you could go at it. So I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing here and sort of let you decide the best way to get down in this game. So Orioles Twins, The thing that interests me here, Joe, is the fact that it's priced as if you've got two aces pitching, right? And it's actually kind of hard to argue when you look at the surface numbers. You got Tyler Wells, 3.19 ERA, 0.90 WHIP. Those are pretty good for a starter. Sonny Gray, he's been sort of equally as good, right? Like he had this dominant stretch to start the season, and he's going to go into the All-Star break with one of the better marks for a starter in the American League. Both teams have decent bullpens. The Orioles have one of the better bullpens in baseball. So you look at the total, you see an over 8, and it shouldn't come as a huge surprise based on like the starting pitching, what teams are playing, the fact that these two teams played a pitcher's duel last night. It all kind of makes sense. But I would be willing to sort of like go against the sort of, like this profiles as an under here, because I think there's a lot of like intangibles that maybe, suggest that there could be some runs in this game. First, so it's like the new saying, Joe, should be death taxes and Tyler Wells giving up 2 earned runs, right? Because 6 straight starts, he's given up 2 earned runs exactly. That's some serious consistency there. But what that tells me is he's going to give us something, right? Like the Twins should get something off of Wells. He's been super consistent, 5-6 innings, but he always seems to get into trouble at some point, give up a run or 2 here or there. I don't think today will be any different. And again, we're talking about an over 8. So it's not like you need one of these pitchers to get blown up. You just need to give them, they need to give you something. On the other side, Sonny Gray, he had been that guy until last time out. He went 7 of 8 after his really nice run in April. He went 7 of 8 where he gave up 2 or more earned runs in his starts. Last time out, he goes 6 shutout innings. But Joe, guess who he threw the 6 shutout innings against? The Orioles. And now they get to see him 6 days later. And if you follow baseball for any period of time, it's as tale as old as time. Guy comes out, throws a shutout against a team, has to see them 6 days later. These are professional hitters. They adjust. And specifically on the Orioles side, I mean, that's a really good lineup. The Orioles can hit, and I have a feeling that they're going to adjust to what they saw 6 days ago and couldn't hit, and they'll probably be able to do something against Sonny Gray. So let's just say we've got 4 or 5 runs early there. Look at what you're getting. The bullpens on paper are really good, but last night, Felix Bautista, 30 pitches. He pitched 2 innings. I'd be shocked to see him today. Joan Duran on the other side, 21 pitches, an inning in 2/3. He may come in this game because he hadn't pitched in 6 days, but are you going to get his sharpest version after, kind of blowing a game last night, or at least being the guy that came in and gave up the runs in extra innings? Yenner Cano would be the guy that probably closes it out, but he's been a little shakier than usual. Like last couple times, he blew a save the other day. He's given up runs in a couple of his outings. So these sort of lockdown bullpen guys for the Orioles, you're not going to have the usual like Felix Bautista come in and drop the hammer at the end of the game. And the Twins, my rule for the Twins is I'm willing to back them when they've got when it's going to be Garrett Jacks, Stewart, Duran after the starter. But in this case, like Jack's pitched yesterday, he's probably good. He only threw 14 pitches. Duran, I don't know. I mean, he's probably going to the All-Star game. So do they give him, do they want to burn him back-to-back days? I don't know. I mean, obviously, they're still trying to win games. I just think that, you're talking about a total of 8, and I just kind of pointed out how I think the starters combined for 4 or 5 runs. You could probably get 3 runs off this bullpen, and, of course, as we know, a tie game that goes into extra innings, you can pretty much cash your over ticket, right? Like, if this goes in 3-3, it's probably finishing 5-4. 4-4 is an automatic win. I think team totals could be looked at here, specifically the Orioles getting more than 4 runs. And, if you force me to pick a side in this game, Joe, I would say Orioles at plus money, given the fact that they just saw Sonny Gray and were shut out by him. They probably figure something out. It's not like he's been unhittable. Like I said, 7 of 8 starts coming into that. He had given up 2 or more earned runs, and the Orioles are a formidable lineup. So I lean toward the over here. I lean toward the Orioles. The best way to play it, I'm not quite sure, but hopefully that info helps you figure out how do you want to play this game if you want to get involved.
Well, we got a late game now and an early game, right? So late game last night, we got an early game tonight with this one. I did see, too, the no run in the first inning was about -115, -120, and the O's on the road from what I understand, they've only scored a run on the road in the first inning 6 out of 43 games, which seems mind-blowing. And Sonny Gray is 16-2 to the no run in the first inning. I mean, it takes the second or third time through the order, but both these guys seem to be pretty solid first time through.
I talked to Mark Zinno about this. Like, it's my joke. It's like, no run in the first inning is a juiced coin flip, essentially. Like, you might as well find someone to flip heads or tails with you. I honestly believe this. Like, you might as well find someone to flip heads or tails at even money. But where you could actually make, the only way you should be playing these is if you're getting plus money. So in this case, based on what I just said, if you can get yes for a run in the first inning at plus money, that I could get down with because you're getting plus money. You should never be laying juice on these no-run first innings, yes-run first innings. It's too random. Everyone in the league can hit home runs, so it's one swing of the bat, you're cooked if you take a no-run in the first inning. And like I said, you're probably going to have adjustments to Sonny Gray, so why not one of these Orioles comes up and leads it off, top of the first, solo shot, 1-0. It's very, very possible, in my opinion. I would play yes run in first inning at plus money here, but again, it's not a market I think there's much money to be made in. But in a one-off scenario, if you do like to play them, make sure you're taking the plus money on those.
We'll get you an updated number on that as well here, guys. We do have a few questions coming up here right now. So let's roll in with one in the MLB. Vegas Gianni wants to know about the Angels being riddled with injuries and, showing the blister and everything else. I don't know. Is this a fade in the next half here of the Angels? You think they just disappear here, Trig?
Yeah, I kind of do. I was talking about the Angels sort of back in May being a team I might look to jump in and fade at some point when they were up near the top of their division. And, well, fortunately, I didn't do that because they had played well up until, the last few weeks. But, I think this is a team – you've kind of seen this in years past, right? Like Trout goes out and things fall off the rails there. I'd be shocked if this year is any different because – Trout and Ohtani really make that lineup, right? Like in my opinion, they're able to like hide other people in there because they've got that, strong middle of the order. So I'm not like, I don't know if I'll go like full fade on the Angels, but like I certainly just even without the Trout injury or like they would be a team that I would be looking to play against anyway. Now, does it get too priced where it's like, okay, are the books going to say, wait, Trout's out, so we're going to just start like give up on the Angels and then you're not going to have any value to do it? I guess it'll, remain to be seen. But I don't have – the Angels were not a team that I had any faith in like contending in the AL West this year. And now I think it'll kind of shake out. I still think the Mariners, Joe, are the best team in this division. I've talked about it a couple different times. And now you take Alvarez and Altuve out of the Astros lineup. That's a 500 team at best. Talked about it yesterday. I bet the Mariners, they ended up blowing the Astros out. I think the Mariners are the team to play on in this division right now. The Astros, they always seem to find a way, but I wouldn't want a part of that team with no Altuve, no Alvarez. Maybe when they come back, things will be a little bit different. I still think we see Rangers regression. And I would be willing to sell the Angels. I don't think the Angels are going to end up contending for for this division. And of course, the A's are the A's. So that's kind of how I'm seeing the AL West right now.
Woo! Speaking of, let's say Seattle here right now today, taking on Valdez here. Mariners at the Astros here, and Jeffrey is looking possibly for some runs to come in this one. What do you think? I will say this, Seattle in June was a heck of a lot better against lefties than they were in the first part. So they seem to have come around. They've cut back on the strikeouts. They're making much better contact now, certainly over the last 30 days here, Trig, against lefties. What are you thinking in this one, over or pitcher's battle?
I'd have to go the other way here. I think runs might be at a premium this game. So Wu, the starter for the Mariners, his underlying metrics suggest that he should be better than it's a 4.08 ERA, and he has been a little bit better of late. He's not a guy that I really want to play against, and he's not a guy that I really expect to get blown up. Joe, you kind of referenced it. The Mariners against lefties not quite as potent, and they face Valdez, who can be pretty good. And then, of course, last night's blowout sets up both bullpens being pretty intact here. And these are two, very good bullpens. Like I still think the Mariners, healthy, their bullpen is top 5 easily in the league. Arguably could be the best. I thought coming into this year that they had the best bullpen, and you got to remember that their full season numbers still reflect April when they had to kind of scramble. Robbie Ray goes down. They moved Chris Flexen into the starting rotation, messed up the bullpen a little bit. So that their full season bullpen numbers, which are still stellar, reflect them having to scramble to fill holes for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So I last night, right? It was a 10-1 game, but it was all in one inning, right? The Mariners scored 9 runs in one inning. Unless you get a total outburst like that, where one of these starters just gets rocked, and I just can't see it. I kind of be surprised if the over gets there. I think this one ends up being a little bit more like 2 nights ago, where it's the runs are at a premium and someone ends up winning a close game.
Yeah, well, I get where you go with Jeffrey, right? Because you got it's 7 now, full game, 3.5 in the first 5. So Wu is capable of handling that lineup at least the first couple of times through as well.
I think if I was going to play an over here and try to because it is a low total, right? It's a low number. I'd probably go first 5. Just because the first 5 numbers tend to, so when you've got an under, a total like this, where it's a low number based on really good pitching, it tends to be sharper first 5. They're gonna shade you a little bit more on the first 5. I've always kind of felt like that to be the case. So you play it over first 5, and it's you get one rally, you're going to be close. You got 5 innings to kind of get one crooked number, and you're going to have a really good chance to hit that. And it's not to say that these two offenses are capable of it. So someone gets a couple guys on, hits a bomb, you're probably hitting first 5 over. I would just think over the course of this game, especially when if it's a close game and these good bullpen arms are involved, I wouldn't expect a bunch of runs late. So I think I'd lean toward, if you had to play an over in this game, I'd prefer first 5 instead of full game.
All right, there you go here, guys. Plenty of opportunities here across the board today on the Diamond. Major League Baseball. Trig is going to, what do you got going on today, Trig? You got anything up and available at your page?
So as soon as we're off the show, I will. I know I'm going to have a best bet in KBO overnight. Only reason it's not up right now, Joe, is I tend to wait until I want the line to be available at most of the big shops before I put a play up for Korean baseball. So that's the only reason it's not up right now. I know what the play is going to be, and as soon as I'm off air here, it's going to go up. There'll be a package, so that'll be up, and that'll go overnight, late night Saturday into Sunday. Haven't bet an MLB game yet, but still time. I kind of just settled on the Mariners late yesterday, and that got there. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on the board and see if anything materializes. If not, we'll just wait till tomorrow. It's a long season. Don't have to force anything. And maybe we'll just bet Summer League all day, Joe. I don't know. Maybe we'll just bet. Dude,
I got no problem with that. No problem. Those lines have been trash from the book, so absolutely no problem. All right, Adam is going to rattle off a bunch of Summer League plays coming up in just a second, but I did want to ask you, the Mets refused to lose in July. Today they're taking on maybe it's like vintage Snell. Where the hell has this guy been all of a sudden here, Trig? He's back. He's been absolutely unhittable. Mets get it done again last night. Peterson's going now for the Mets, it looks like, here today. Are we buying what Snell is doing here? Is it sustainable for him? Because I don't trust that lineup as far as I can throw him. But what do you think? Is Snell the guy that can put out this Mets fire here right now?
Probably. Now, so if you follow the Instagram, the WagerTalk Instagram, on my walk to the gym the other day, Joe, I got on and said I think the Mets are about to get hot, and they haven't lost since. So it pays to also follow WagerTalk on Instagram.
Yep.
And I said, I thought Senga was going to take a step forward. He had 12 strikeouts. Mets came back in that game, walked it off. I had a client play on Sunday Night Baseball. The Mets got a win there. So I'm actually kind of upset with myself that I haven't made more off of this run. Like, I ended up kind of getting screwed earlier this week. I had the Mets as a 4%er, and I always list my pitchers, and they moved Senga off of the game I wanted to bet the Mets in. And of course, the Mets still won that game. Haven't lost since. So I'm certainly not betting against the Mets right now, because I feel like I started this run for them, Joe. So I'm not going to bet against them right now. But this might be where they finally drop one. I'm not a big – I've seen Peterson pitch a bunch. I've seen him pitch up here in Syracuse. He's been back and forth. AAA to the bigs. So the one thing I will say about him, because I did back him on Sunday Night Baseball, I think he came down to Syracuse and really worked on not throwing the ball right over, right down the, just because he was getting teed off on for a while. And I noticed that, he came down to Syracuse, struggled a little bit because he was walking guys, but I honestly think what they said to work on was, you can't just throw the ball right over the middle of the plate because you're just going to get mauled by big league hitters. Yeah. And he came out and he started to he came out against the last two starts. He's had some walks, but he's really nibbled on the corners more and has been far more effective. So you're not going to get probably the right price to fade Peterson. So it's it's a tough game for me. I don't really want to bet against Peterson right now because he may have figured something out, but there's no question that Snell is probably the better, option. And then of course at this point, you're probably the Mets are on such a run that you might not really be getting the true value to kind of back the Mets. So just a game that I don't really love, but I think if I was going to play this game, Joe, I think I would play the under because you're going to get Snell, and just assume that Peterson did figure something out. It probably stays under the 8.5. So I guess that's what I'll go with for Mets Padres. If you're going to get involved in that game, I would say under is probably good there.
Yeah, he'd been much better at Citi Field than he has been on the road, and teams hitting 400 the third time through. So if they turn that lineup over in the fourth or fifth inning, maybe the first five might not be the bad look. I'd lay the half a run in the first five with the Padres too as well, because I think the best chance for the Mets is late. I don't know if it's going to happen early. Should be a fun one, though, to see if the Mets can continue to roll, I think, undefeated in July. So all they needed was the owner to throw an impromptu press conference there, Trig, and all of a sudden everybody starts to hit and win now for the New York Mets. All right, guys, before we get out of here, Trig's going to run down these summer league plays that we've got going on. So hit us here, Trig. What do we got going on today in the summer league?
All right, so listen, these are don't mortgage your house to bet all of these huge, right? And I'll tell you right now that some of these have probably moved because this is a list from earlier. So pick and choose your spots, or just if you can pick off a rogue number. You got books. Some books are asleep at the wheel on these. Some move quickly, some don't. But they've been good. I gave out one on the Hustle on Wednesday. It won easily. Some people have DM'd me. I've sent them ones that have won. So, but just take that with a grain of salt, right? They've been a little hot. So who knows what's going to happen. But this is what, when I say this is what the sharp accounts are playing in the NBA Summer League today. So do with it what you will. 9 plays. So get your pen and paper out. Good thing this is up on demand. I'll try to read slow. Clippers Jazz under 184 is what they played it at. Pistons -4. Bucks Suns under 179.5. Jazz -3.5. Grizzlies -5. Again, some favorites here. So if they move, maybe a little money line parlay on a couple of them could do. Just trying to think outside the box. Grizzlies Bulls under 184. I'll just say this: there's been a lot of overs in this league so far, and so maybe I think what they might be doing is saying, okay, now the books have maybe over adjusted the numbers too much. We're going to start targeting unders. Mavs Thunder under 188.5. Heat Celtics over 183.5. Knicks Sixers over 184.5. 9 plays. I hope that they go at least 5-4, so I don't get slaughtered for this. But anyway, let's have a good time. Hopefully we cash some summer league today, and you have a great Saturday.
Yep, David, spot on. Trig, you are printing money for that new house of his there. So kudos, David. Congrats. And guys, why make David the only one, buying new houses and nice things for it? Visit Trig over at his page, WagerTalk.com. Grab one of those 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages here. Plenty of MLB action, KBO action still going on, guys. And a little sprinkle, a little summer league basketball still here with Trig. Always a pleasure, man. Go get some rest. We'll talk to you during the week, man. Best of luck with those plays.
All right, guys. Have a great Saturday.
All right, Adam Trigger. That will do it. Paco Healy in the house. Vegas Gianni, Vader Sport. Nice seeing you, man. Doubling up on the Mets today. Go get it. Ghosted, Thomas, all you guys. We appreciate the help. But don't forget, Gold Sheet, our friends at thegoldsheet.com. Yep, that football preview is out, guys. Hop on board. Head over to thegoldsheet.com. Get yourself a jump start. Now is the time to start doing your homework, guys, because I'm telling you, you're going to blink, and before we know it, college football will be beginning. The NFL will be right here. So much to go over. A lot of changes in both college football and the NFL. You need the right resources, guys, to make sure you get the best information to do your homework. Knowledge is power. Make sure you head over to thegoldsheet.com. Check out that Gold Sheet football preview. Also, Ralph Michaels, Jeff Michaels, they have their college football preview available on their page over at WagerTalk.com. All right, that does it for us here this week. Kelly will be back next week, guys, on Saturday. Mark it on the calendar if you haven't done so already. And last time, I'll remind you, make sure you check out the videos. UFC, Kyle Anthony crushing the UFC. He gave out his best bets on the Volkanovski fight here on Wager Talk today and a few other shows this week. So they're available to you. Just go ahead, click on those videos, guys. See exactly who it is he's got picked for tonight's huge UFC 290 card. They're available to you right now. Make sure you click on them and check it out. Appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with all the plays this weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Good luck.